here we are about 40 days out from the halfway mark of 2024. This time of year brings up incomplete or completed goals. I like to stay on the positive side. Completed goals, um, what we've done more than who we've become, and what it looks like going towards the end of the year. So it also brings up for me around this time of year, unfortunately, some bittersweet, emotional, huge emotional feelings. As I stated with the trigger warning, grief and loss. Because around this time, my mom was killed, my biological mother. For those of you who don't know, I was adopted after being in foster care in 2 different foster homes. And my biological mother came back into my life, was an incredible grandmother and mom, continued to build upon the friendship we already had because I was taken as a preteen, so I didn't know my mother. So, but this time of year is so bittersweet because my mom was, we spent the last day with her together was May 31st, which happens to also be my son's birthday. So that's the bittersweet part because his birthday is obviously an amazing celebration for me, but it's also the last day that we all saw my mother alive. So in saying that, it brings up a lot because 2 days later, my mother was tragically killed in a car crash. And the next day, which was her birthday. So this weekend is going into this week, this time of year, always, I usually take it for vacation when I'm working, but I am not working. So, well, I'm not working for a company anymore. I'm working for myself. So I get to manage my time as how I see fit now, which is also an extreme blessing. But I want to get to the topic on hand about time. The reason why I shared that about my mom is because this time of year and then the sudden death of my mom. It wasn't, death or loss of grief of any kind is jarring. But I had just hung the phone up with my mom and talked to her about her coming by to pick me up to do some things with some members of her church. And unfortunately, minutes after I hung up with my mom, she was killed. And a lot of things in my life have been sudden shifts or changes. Being taken away from my mom was sudden. I kissed my mother goodbye for school. That night I was living with total strangers in the 6th grade. Sudden shifts. I decided on a Saturday after 28 years to resign from my job after 28 years. Sudden shifts. All of these things have been in God's plan, whether tragic or triumphant, however you look at it. But as I stated in the intro, if time is our most valuable asset or commodity, why then do we gauge our success and or failure based on the possessions and the money versus how we spend or have spent our time? Could it be that we don't value the budget that is required for time? Yes, this is, I know. We tend to see videos about time on productivity and getting things done, but how well you spend your time, how you set your boundaries, how you commit to how you spend your time is also hugely important. One of my life's mottos, as I think I said on a couple of the last episodes, is say more no's to live a greater yes. And I think this goes in line with that motto. God gave me this idea about time and budgeting it well in December at the end of 2023. And I just want to say at 3 a.m. when I was writing these notes during that time, I was even floored at what this means or what it could be for our lives. And I hope you find some value in it because I did. We can throw away, pennies. Speaking of budgets and money, so let's do the breakdown. God said that Seconds are pennies, minutes are nickels, hours are dimes, days are quarters, weeks are dollars, months are hundreds, years are thousands, and decades are millions. And when we calculate things and when we're achieving things or looking at money, we tend to want to look at the dollars, hundreds, thousands, and millions, but we forget about the loose change, the quarters, nickels, and dimes, and pennies of our lives and our pocketbook. So when you're calculating your budget for the month, or the week, or the day, or the year, think about this in time. What would your life and your year look like if you set goals, made investments by the value it brought you in time and experiences versus only in money and dollars and cents? I know there are vacations we want to take, there are trips, things that we do plan annually, birthdays, holidays. But if we really got granular and thought about our day-to-day choices, our day-to-day way we spend, just like we want people to be smart with their money. Now, I'm not saying skip the lattes or nothing like that, even when it comes to your time. But I'm saying that let them be valuable, or let yourself have the room in your schedule like you do in your budget to be able to afford those. So having the financial means and the time bandwidth or capacity to be able to expend those moments with people at the brunch, or your girlfriends on the phone, kikiing, or scrolling on Instagram. Do you have that worked into your time budget, just like the lattes and the retail therapy worked into your budget, or your shoe budget, or your hair budget, or your golf budget, because some men may be watching this too. Have you worked those things into your budget? Do you really value your time the way you value the dollar that you would spend or share or invest, as you do the hour, the minute, the day, and the seconds? And the seconds, when God shared this with me, was we throw away seconds. Oh, it only take a minute. Oh, I got a few seconds. No big deal. Just like we step over pennies in a parking lot or on the sidewalk, or even we just throw in our change bucket because we can count out the quarters because they got more value to us. But the pennies are really what add up our budget and our life. Little pennies here and there over time become a lot of money. And the same goes with the seconds of our life. Throwing them away here and there, no big deal. I'm just chit-chatting. I'm just gossiping here and there for a few minutes. I'm just giving this person my time, even though I really should be somewhere else or doing something else. This phone call won't take that long. Now, I'm not saying don't make time for people, and everything doesn't have to be strictly out in your plan and schedule. By no means. But when we really consider it, what we are spending our time on is really taking away from our life. The other thing is doing this thing to earn this dollar amount has a return on investment. The same goes for how much it has a return on investment for your time freedom. Because that's like one of my ultimate goals is financial peace and time freedom, which I have a lot more of now. And time freedom is one of the things that we're all searching for. Some of us are searching for it, some of us have found it, and some of us don't want to give it up. So, with that said, when you think about the return on investment of being really wise with your time, or doing the things financially or socially or professionally that buy you back that time, if you have a set schedule, or if you have planned out your meals, or you have planned out your workouts, you have planned out your holiday spending budget, you have planned out the trips you'll take early in the year so you know exactly what you need and where you need to be by the time they're there. I'm expecting to go on a cruise next year, and I'm already planning now what is desired for that time next year for me to truly enjoy my trip. I won't be waiting till the month or day of to be like, oh, I got to get this together and do this. So I am valuing my time now so that I can enjoy the time later. So that's the ROI that I'm talking about, not just financially, but based on your time. How are you valuing your time? And then ask yourself, what do you want to spend your life doing in this season? And are you doing it? Are you taking the steps to get the ROI of the thing that you'll value most in this season? Because sometimes you don't have to plan so far out, but for 90 days, like for my initial exit plan, God shared with me 90 days to next. I didn't know 90 days to next would be the exit at that moment, but 90 days to next. And it's come up more than once without me even thinking about it. I'm actually going into another season like that where he shared with me 90 days to next. This is the plan that I have for you. This is what I want you to do. And the ROI on that plan is what I'm sharing with you today. So it's not so structured or so rigid, but it has value. It has given me the discipline. It has given me the focus. It has given me the peace. I thought I had peace and joy before this moment, but it has definitely increased. And another thing that has for sure increased has been my faith, but not just my faith, like I'm out here just doing what, I'm holding on. It's increased my faith of knowing him, the character of God, the relationship that I have with him has been strengthened by me setting aside the time to go in depth and be closer to him, to understand him, and for me to better understand myself in him. So that's a huge ROI for me in this season. So what are some things for you when you are looking to do life better? How do you want to spend your time? What does that look like? Have you ever calculated the investment of your time? Does this bring any awareness to you, any resolve on how you should better monopolize your time and share with people and or set significant boundaries? And boundaries, as I shared in a workshop recently, become like a dirty little word. But it's not like a punishment or a gate, a gate to keep everybody out. It's actually just a place to keep you safe and to take care of what you need to take care of in this season or the day or the hour or the month. It's to what is best for you so that you are your best self. So ask yourself, what do you want to spend your life doing in this season? Reflect on that. Make sure you have some resolve. Really look at and answer, what is my budget and what am I budgeting for? Am I budgeting my time for the new career, for the spouse, for the child, for the new opportunity, for college, for whoever may be watching this, whatever that thing is for you? The same way you calculating the cost of it. How much would tuition be? How much is a trademark? How much is it to form an LLC? Where do I go on this next vacation? What mode of transportation am I taking? How much will it cost me to get there? How much will I need to spend once I'm there? Ask yourself that same question about your time. How do I get the most out of my time there? How does this opportunity fit in my life and schedule right now? Is this a wise decision for me to make in this moment? Yes, it will bring this amount of revenue, but what will it cost me on this side as far as time? Do you have the capacity to collaborate with that person? Do you have the capacity to continue to endure that friendship? Do you have the capacity to take on a new opportunity or go back to school or marketing plan, whatever, like fit this new thing or this new product or service in your business? Like, we think about the profit that's coming in or the revenue that will be generated as entrepreneurs or even as employees. I'm gonna work overtime all month. I'm gonna work overtime for the next 6 months. But that requires time. When you go from working 8 hours a day to 12 hours a day, how does that impact your spouse? How does it impact your children? How does it impact your sleep? Maybe you're not married, maybe you don't have kids, but your sleep is impacted. Your eating schedule and regimen is impacted. Your health, your exercise schedule is impacted. But we don't calculate those costs. We only calculate money. And we need to be thinking about how we're budgeting our time in this season as well. God is just driving this home for me. And I'm just believing that it's resonating because he keeps bringing it up in different conversations and settings that I'm in with different people. So I'm believing that this is a time to look at our time. That was no pun intended. And then when you do this, you should document how you're measuring your life for this year, next year, years to come. Just like you calculate monthly financial budgets and spending plans and expenses and revenue and income that has come in, document your time along with that. How many hours did you spend on that project? How long, then you can calculate. And this can also set you up as an entrepreneur, business owner, writer, even parent, to show how long it takes to do a thing or get things done. Then you know that you have time or capacity to spend with the kids or your sister or your brother or your mother or your father, like where you're going, what you're doing, how you can help them out if they need more support in their senior years. You know what you have capacity for. Can you watch the kids for your sister or brother while they go on vacation or go through this medical procedure? Do you have the time, bandwidth in your schedule to volunteer? Well, yes, I can dog sit between this time and this time, but I can't do it on this day and this day because I have been wise as a steward, because stewardship is not just about money either. As a steward of your life and your time and your possessions and your mind and your energy, you now know, yes, I'm available. No, I'm not, because you've already planned. But you're saying yes because, I only worked 2 days this week. But 2 of those other days you already have mapped out to do some self-care things, to do some other relationship things with your mate. You got a collaboration project coming up. You wanted to use a couple of those hours that you're off to do some things over there. So, but now you've stretched yourself and you're wondering why resentment is setting in or why you don't have the capacity to be effective. And it's because you said yes when you should have said no, or you should have said yes with some boundaries, with limits. But because you didn't evaluate the capacity or your bandwidth or your access, because people have too much access, then you don't know, well, I can't make that investment. Just like financially. Can I borrow $100? I can't make that investment. I can't provide that because I know what's in my pocket and in my purse and in my bank account. I know what's on my watch, in my calendar, on my scheduler, is that I can't do it. So document and measure your life by the time you're doing as well as the money. And one thing that I have been thinking about for myself personally, because this applies to me as well, is that something that God shared with me right before I hit record was, because the perfectionist is still dying, overthinking is robbing me of my time. How he described it is that it is the overdraft fees of my clock. I know. Worrying, procrastination, overthinking, not in a scary, fearful way, but just like you start seeing the little things you're doing, wiping stuff down, stacking up books, folding up t-shirts or laundry that was sitting for days before you get ready to do the big thing or the thing you know you need to be doing. It's overthinking. And that too is robbing you of precious time. Those seconds, those pennies and nickels that you are throwing here and there. Oh, it's only going to take me 5 minutes. Oh, it's only going to take me 5 minutes. Oh, it's only going to take me 5 minutes. But that's 15 minutes that you could have got this work done. I've been on now for about the time it took me to procrastinate to get this video done. So, or this podcast done, or write the script, or put the blog together, or even pitch the email, like type it up, send it. But because we're throwing away seconds and minutes, because it'll only take, I only need this amount of time, life is literally slipping through our fingers. And that's why I started this off talking about my mom and losing her, talking about the suddenlies that have happened in my life, both successful, both exciting and tumultuous and tragic, because time is fleeting. Time is passing regardless. No matter what we're doing, time is passing. Whether we're productive, whether we're enjoying pleasure, whether we're sleeping, time is still passing. And my favorite saying of my own also is, time is more valuable than money, and I don't waste either. So if this is true for you, budget your time wisely and take inventory, not just financially or with possessions, but with your time. And remember to spend it with people, including yourself, that you value most. And until the next episode, love well.